You can skip your class, but don't skip the ad.
Hello, welcome back everyone. I'm your host, Jarrod Reginald from Chariot Agency. Well, it's been a month since we posted anything. Okay, I've got legit reason why it's been a month since we posted anything. Honestly, it's the first time I actually lost a file on my desktop. Just like that, it disappeared, yeah? So to give you a little bit of context, I was in Johor about 2 weeks ago and I thought I would open up my file and do a little bit of edits, clean it up and then post the episode up. But when I opened my file, poof, gone. Don't Skip the Ad folder was gone. I don't know where it went. It's my first time losing a file on my desktop, guys. It's insane. I can only conclude that it was the ghost in the hotel that was jealous of this episode and deleted it. I have no other excuse, guys. I have no other excuse. Okay, enough of excuses. Today's guest, we've got Jiri Rakosnik, ex-CMO of Heineken Malaysia. Currently, he's the CMO at one of the biggest e-retailer in Europe. So Jiri actually came prepared for the podcast. He came with 6 guiding principles that he uses and he believes in that makes unskippable ads. I would like to make a special shout out to everyone who's been helping us on Don't Skip the Ad. A special shout out to Pitch Audio Music, Kim and the gang for doing those amazing stingers that you hear. The guys at Chariot, Noel who's doing the amazing animation, Azrael and Uy for the beautiful illustrations, and not forgetting the great people at the KL Podcast Studio. So if you guys want to do any podcast, do check them out. The KL Podcast Studio, great people, amazing lighting, amazing setup. They help us to look good lah. So do check them out lah. All right. Okay, without further ado, here is Jiri Rakosnik on
Don't Skip the Ad.
Hi, welcome back.
Welcome back. Oh, Happy New Year, I guess.
Happy New Year.
Everybody. We don't know when this will air, but this is the first time we're recording in 2024.
So it's been, 12, 13 days. Actually, I forgot what to do on this podcast. Coming here, I'm like, how to do podcast? I totally forgot again. But today we have Jiri, who used to be a client of mine, who has graciously decided to spend his time here with us.
Actually, wait. Have we ever had clients? No, we have not, right?
No. So Jiri's our first client on the show.
Thank you so much. Awesome.
I'm super happy to be here, guys. Actually, I flew just because of this here. Woo! Thanks for organizing the private jet. The show's doing really well. Don't skip the ad. Guys, if you're looking for a private jet, then these guys have it.
I'm super happy for that private jet. And where did you fly in from?
Penang.
Welcome to KL.
Thank you, guys. Thanks. No, super happy to be here. And just let me say one thing. I'm really happy for you, man. Because we've been working together. We've done some amazing work. And of course, I've been following your journey from the cold Europe. But I think you're really a testament of someone who makes, his dream come true. And I really am super happy for you.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
That's very nice. Now, you mentioned the cold Europe. So why don't we start there? Like, who's Jiri? Where did Jiri come from?
Okay, so I'm originally from Prague. I actually started on the agency side while I was still studying because there was a lot of people coming to uni from the ad agencies for that specific communications that I had as a minor. And these guys, of course, all look really cool and it sounded like so much fun. So I joined an agency as some sort of junior account slave, baguette bringer or whatever. And after I think like 3 months, I was like, no, I need to be on the other side.
So, as in the creative side?
No, as in the client side.
Wait, but did you always wanted to pursue advertising, even as a child?
No, look, I mean,
was there any unfulfilled ambitions? Like maybe you wanted to be a spaceman? What did you want to do?
Look, my granddad was a great inspiration. He used to fly around as part of international trade company. He always brought him lots of gifts. So I thought, this looks like fun. So I probably should pursue that. And I always thought that my place in the world is somewhere abroad. So that's basically why I started to first study business academy, then international trade in the University of Economics in Prague. But really after the second year, I realized it's probably not the most exciting thing on planet Earth. Slowly gravitated to marketing. And then they just opened a small minor that was called commercial communications, which was literally only 25 people per semester, only people from business coming in, which was really valuable. And we got all really excited. So that's how me and my friends all started to work in this business. But Indeed, I think my creative side wasn't as developed at the beginning, and I decided that client side would be definitely the place where I could a little bit more value and hold, the strings.
But so you were looking for creativity, and you went to the client side. Like, what inspired that thinking?
Oh no! Creativity was not just yet on my radar. I would think. I thought at that moment I had a good gut feeling. I could tell what I want. And I probably would be better off by actually making the decisions. That was my thinking at that point.
So you knew from the get-go you were born to be a client.
You had to be there.
Instead of writing the job briefs to people who don't read them.
Look, I think at some point these things in retrospect make sense. But I remember also when I was leaving, Jarrod dropped me a note and basically said, dude, I really, really hope you will never stop being a client. And I think that sort of, was there since the beginning.
Yeah.
So that's how it happened. And I ended up in Reckitt Benckiser, joining the venerable Laundry Boys team. So we were all three guys taking care of anything and everything that goes into washing machine. So I learned all new things. Vitek was my best friend. We were living together back then. He was living his dream because I was bringing from all sorts of things, new washing machines. I was bringing, all the laundry. I was bringing all the, the softeners and all the gels and whatever. So yeah, we were so advanced in our household. That even
Clothes have never been cleaner.
Absolutely.
Speaking of household, how big was your family? Were you the only kid or?
So I have a younger brother from a family that's half musicians in a way. I never really picked up music. I think my dad, he was yelling at my mom that I was trying to kill him every time I was trying to sing. So, no, but half of the family can pick up music. The other one is more good with languages in a way and being visually expressive, so to speak. So that for me is the same. I can pick up easily a language and also the way it's spoken very quickly. And I'm really good in expressing myself visually. So I picked up photography. And
Can you, because I know you've been based in Malaysia for a few years.
Oh no, don't go there.
Can you sound like a Malaysian? Can you do a sentence that sounds like a Malaysian?
No. I don't want to. This is borderline cultural appropriation. I'm not going into this territory. The only thing is today, actually my objective was, and that I can say, because my girlfriend taught me that, I really want not to talk or sing song too much long.
Talk, cock, sing song, yeah. That's very us. That's very us.
We were going to ask you to sing a song. We had a lyric sheet, we brought a guitar.
Sing a song also, please don't. I will give you a number for my dad.
Can you put a guitar away?
I like that your family has like musicians and linguists, because personally, like I'm the oldest intern in the industry. I'm just so curious, where do you find creativity from?
Yeah.
Because I speak mostly to like agency people, like with Ed, Jarrod, and like our friends. And not often do I get to speak to a client who prioritizes creativity in such a way. So I was very curious. Like I'm starting to see where Jiri comes from. So from washing machines, where did this part of this desire, the Jiri that desires to be like creative and do great work, like Unskippable Ads, where does it come from?
I think part of it is just attraction. So you somehow attract people and certain people attract you, and then you learn from them as well. The other thing is, and that also then brings me to why I'm here today actually, which is I really wanted to share, thought, let's really put down 5 basic principles of what makes great work. And this is like the 0 principle, because like you're saying, what makes creativity and what makes you being creative. And I think it's first, and we had this is not mine, but this is from the CMO that was heading Heineken back when I was there, Alexis Nassar. He was saying all the time, like creativity is a decision. That's why we're here. Like if you really want to talk about the principles, we assume we all want to do great work.
Yep.
So think how it started. We were part of the Laundry Boys. We had an amazing guy who is now my friend, but he was he's an amazing marketeer. He's like a magician in a way. He really can see through you, amazing insights, everything. And here we were. We had to promote some sort of a, laundry detergent in a category where, you have some demos, you have the thing, whatever. And then, so through this guy, I realized that tapping into insights and really understand what makes women tick, and then really trying to figure out how your product is different, and then how to dramatize it in such a way that's going to be as engaging as possible.
Yeah.
We ended up, our first campaign was essentially about, at that point, all the laundry detergent commercials were about the women get to school or whatnot, then taking out
White clothes,
completely,
clean
white clothes.
clothes,
Oh, yeah. I'm a great mom. No, we had a young guy who looked great, came in, he admitted, I have no fucking idea what I'm doing, but he stripped off, half naked. They did the demo in an aquarium, take it out, okay, this is what it is, put it on, went away, everybody's like, the cells, start to fly. It was things like this when you really learned and you can do things differently from great people. Yeah, but I mean, having great people around. I mean, at that point, I would never. I was just this door were open for me by this amazing person, and then we started from it.
You said creativity is a decision. How would you define it beyond? Is a decision to identify and go with good work, or how would you define creativity?
So, advertising agency, if it's a bigger one, if it's not the cool one like you're running, but if it's a bigger one, they have their sales targets. They have to sell. So, if you are willing to buy bad stuff, you will get it, essentially. So, you're only good as the work that you are actually willing to buy. And to set up this standard, usually in a bigger organization, needs to come from the management team itself. It was part of the Heineken, where we not only were talking about it, we introduced a creative ladder.
Yep.
So that people could actually understand within the organization what makes a bad ad, what makes a great ad, and have a terminology that they can share in between each other when they're evaluating the
Basically
work.
speaking the same language, right?
Yes, speaking the same language indeed.
So it's a decision to choose good work.
It's a decision, absolutely.
To be courageous, to choose the best work.
See, what I understand from like creativity is a decision. It's like, because I'm seeing it from like, I guess, fresh eyes. And when you say like laundry detergent, right? We assume that the audience is going to be predominantly female. And then on the surface, it seems like, it's not very interesting. Like they might not want to they might not get like, adventurous ads or funny ads, but that's just very surface and that's not true, right? I think the decision here is like, let's decide to not take them lightly. Let's decide to see them as they are and find creativity that makes sense for them. That's at least that's what I take.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's another thing, while this is important, because like, again, yes, creating nice stuff is great. And we all love it because we're somehow artsy based and, it's amazing to create something that simply is different or whatever. But from the client side, people really need to understand the impact that they can have on people's lives. If you're part of a company that has major share of voice in anything, you actually have an impact. You're officially a pop culture source.
Yeah.
Right? So
whether you realize it or not, or whether you like it or not.
So these days, I work for Albert Heijn, for example, which is, or Ahold Delhaize in Central Eastern Europe. These guys, I mean, their share of market is insane, and share of voice as well. And you can actually make, and they do over the years by changing the assortment, changing the way you shop and the communication, what you're actually pushing as the new product. You are changing slowly the habits of how people eat.
Yep.
And what do they choose? And therefore what the farmers have to make and what what are the standards? It's a whole thing. And suddenly, we have an initiative which is called Eating for Good, essentially a new creative platform. And that really impacts the chain back and forth.
Yeah.
And everything you put on the plate, you actually suddenly realize how much, impact you have on the people
I guess like
behind and first.
the globally most popular example is like what Dove that did, right? Like when you have like a big market share and then the message you put out there, like it can and really will make an impact.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it's the same, or even on a relatively let's say smaller scale, but what we did with Chinese New Year, for example, for the tire commercial, for me that was really, at some point somebody called me, that one of the girls on my team, she called me an adventurous gentleman who thinks with his heart. And that piece of thinking with heart and the emotion really went into the Chinese New Year commercial as well.
Okay,
because
I just want to pause there for a while, okay? I want to set the scene for everyone. So this is a time where Jiri, you worked with Jarrod.
Wait. We're jumping back.
Yeah, we skipped like 25 years.
It's fine.
Well, you mean we're not talking about the laundromat?
Correct. Let's go back to the laundry just now.
No, it's
quickly.
it's okay. We can talk about like this Chinese New Year thing because you've been teasing it non-stop.
Yeah.
And I know Jarrod's just waiting to talk about this, right? So let's set the time frame. Okay, so what year was this? 2017. 2017?
Yeah.
Okay, so
16, 17,
Jiri, you were the MD at Heineken here in Malaysia.
Yeah, correct.
And Jarrod?
I think I was creative director at Ogilvy.
Ogilvy, indeed, yes.
Okay, so 2017, Jarrod and Jiri meets. And what happens? What's this Chinese New Year thing?
Okay, so actually, the meat thing. So just to follow up on my 5 points, because it's the methodological part of the client in me. So the first one is the creative is the decision. The second, I mean, this is the 0-1. You really decide what you actually want to do something creative, because it makes sense. The second thing is, and I'll just squeeze it in so that we don't forget about this, it's know thyself, right? This is super important, because I see quite often people believing that they know everything and then they're jumping on all sorts of things within the creative process. But it's really important to understand what is your talent and what can you bring to the table. There are different things. You can take a test on creative creatures or, on human design, trying to understand what can you bring as a client to, or even within the agency, to the table. You can be the one who's got a really good gut feel. You can be the one who's pushing the process forward. You can be the one who's really grounding the ideas that it actually works, right? I'm more of the guy who's setting up the scene. I come up with an insane idea, and then somehow that will happen, and then there will be people who actually will make sure that we have money and it will actually happen.
You sell the dream, you sell the vision.
Yeah, I have. So that's actually a really nice one. So the human design is they have 4 or 5 typologies. Mine is projector. So that really, I think I love that description, which says, you as a projector, you really shouldn't be telling people to cut wood and build a boat. You paint the picture of the foreign, distant, exotic land. And then it will happen. So that's basically...
The groundbreaker, the guy who does the beach.
Yeah. So that's really, really important.
So for clients, it's a very crucial thing to know thyself, where you sit in this whole
in the
scheme
chain.
of things.
Actually, it's not just know yourself, but know the other people's strengths and having the humility to admit, I only know this much. This is my space. This is your space.
This is all parts and parcels of creating non-skippable ads, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So we all have superpowers. You just need to know which ones. That brings us to how and Jarrod.
Yes. now let's
myself.
Dear audience, now we're jumping ahead to 2017.
So this is like the second principle, which is really when you're choosing a partner, choose someone you love working with. And this is not going to be love at first sight necessarily, because we are actually all weird.
Yeah.
Especially the strong characters, we are a little bit weird.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's about finding that weirdo and then picking up like slowly. It's not like a slow-mo scene when you're running on Speedos in the beach. You're actually, the first time we saw each other, I joined Heineken Malaysia as a marketing director. And David, that time, CEO of Ogilvy, organized like an introduction day for me. And then he came down. I think Andrew was there as well, and then a couple of other guys. And then they were sitting there like this. This was the first day on the yard in jail. All tattoos, and like the guaylo there, like, yo, what's up?
This is how we take the brief usually.
No, but I mean, I understand they were not too excited, because it was just like 4 hours of basically, okay, this is Malaysia, this is Kuala Lumpur, this is what we do, this is Ogilvy and whatever. Well, they were thinking about playing Roblox or whatever. So, so it was a bit weird. And it's the same thing I have the same experience with a couple of other great guys that I worked with over the last couple of years, where you see that person and you're like, it's fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
But then, you start talking about ideas and you're like, bro, I know. And then the chemistry starts to work.
Yeah.
And then what we picked up as well, and what we had. So that's also why I became really personally involved in creating the Chinese New Year ad for Tiger.
Could you tell us, because I was just telling Jenhan outside, you were like the creative director for that.
He was. Jarrod was like telling me that like, oh, Jiri is someone who like gets his hand dirty. Like he comes down and work with us. Like, so I think that's what you wanna get at, Jarrod.
Yeah. So maybe you could share how that insight. You did the groundwork for that piece of work. Actually,
this we are talking about the CNY film, right?
Yeah, CNY film.
Tiger.
Yeah, for Tiger. And maybe from a poster, it started off years and years and years. Chinese New Year, same brief, same shit.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, so that's my fourth principle. It's like every project is an opportunity for great work and for great brief. And you should really approach it, but no matter how mediocre it sounds, or no matter how basic it sounds. And one of these things was the Tiger Chinese New Year, because again, year after year, it was, you got mahjong set, you got poster.
We're still doing mahjong sets.
Okay, fine, love. you have the display palette, and I was looking at it, I was like, but this is like the Super Bowl. Do I understand this is where we're selling, let's say, I don't know, 30% of the volume a year. this is where all the major brands who mean something in the country are actually creating content for, and we're doing a poster. Number one beer brand. And yeah, okay. So let's maybe try to change that. And this is how we came up to it. And by that time, I was sort of, I love hanging out with the art scene as well. So I was much, of course, I was very much ingrained with you guys, but I started to talk a lot with the guys who were in tattoo business. I went even to Eastern Malaysia to understand, how that works. We did so many Tiger activations that, all the KOLs that were actually in the art business were quite close to me. And we started to discuss, okay, so what is really the thing that, during Chinese New Year is what's the key insight? What really is on the table all the time? Because Tiger was about engaging, your talent and everything.
Boldness, yeah.
And then we were just discussing with people around the table and say, yeah, bro, but essentially, we all want to do it. And sometimes we do it, but it never feels well. It never feels good until your parents actually approves.
Right.
And it was like, whoa, that's it. And then that was something that was missing in that piece of puzzle. Also, from sort of the guys we received from Singapore, it's not there. And it's like, this is it. Like, this is the, what it needs to be about. And then it was pretty much, I thought, okay, Tiger needs to be, it needs to be a little bit underground. We need to go into the scene. It needs to be authentic. Yeah, it really needs to be the story of the guy following his heart. Actually, already then, I was actually thinking that I will quit. I was actually thinking I will quit. I will just start just because I would pick up photography, and I thought I actually had like a vision of me standing in front of HMB and just sort of doing a ritual where I would, on one side you have the guys from marketing team, they was the art people, and I would just being carried away into the art society. I had these weird mental visions, and I was thinking, that's why I was also so much involved, because for me it was a personal story as well. And whether we like it or not, we're putting a lot of our personal stuff into the stuff we create. Yeah. So
that's another key point. A lot of great work that is out there. There's a lot of us in that piece of work. It's not just
inevitable.
Yeah, correct.
But that picture did make it in the final cut, yeah? Because I was like,
That was me picturing my future after this ad is shot. I thought, okay, this is going to be the testament, and I'm just going to do it as well.
I really like the way you saw it, because I think putting yourself into something is a very vulnerable thing. I mean, even without the job, in anything, it's scary. But I like that observation you made, which was, hey guys, this is Chinese New Year. We're the number one brand. This technically is our Super Bowl. Right? Like, why are we just working on a poster and then going and hunting for that story to tell?
Yeah, I think what I like about it, it's not so much passion, but like I said, it's about family. That artist is by the way, but the real story, it's about family reunion. It's about reconnecting with your family roots. Whether you're a tattoo artist, whether you're a global CMO or whatever, it's really about the heart of it.
And again, that's the decisive factor between, to come back to the learning from that laundry commercial. You can show people around the table doing yamsang and this is, Chinese New Year. Or you can actually do it differently. Yeah. So I was having quite a lot of, I had an amazing team who worked on it, and then who did a great job after, actually rolling it out everywhere. But the discussions we have were ongoing also, but we need we need to be a shot around the table of people going yamsang. I was like, no, we really have to tell a story. This is the time to tell the story. Right, and then hopefully we inspire more Chinese young guys to follow their dreams. Essentially, that was what we're after. Our essence is engaging, your inner tiger and going what you really believe for.
Yeah, it's sincere to the message. I mean, if you try to cram in all the typical tropes of Chinese New Year beer ads, then
it's a blind spot, lah. It's a skippable ad, lah.
It's a skippable ad, yeah.
And then I think, again, if you do this and then you put so much energy in it, and people understand there's a personal passion and involvement. The people that got around it and the work that came out of it is insane. The quality of it for the price that we, this is unbelievable. That quality of the shoot, the individual shots, the talent, the atmosphere, the overall message, it was so good. It was really so good. Like, yeah. So I was super proud about that work.
Yeah, no, you clearly have a knack for like surrounding yourself with weirdos, right? And like, because weirdos, it's like a Venn diagram. You're looking for a Venn diagram and looking for the middle part that meets. But with weirdos, it's never really a circle. It's like some odd shape.
I don't see any weirdos here. I don't know what kind of friends you hang out with.
So you have a knack for this because, okay, now let's go back in time a little bit and let's talk about STRONGBOW.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the assortment of weirdos you found there. When I saw this and when Jarrod was telling me about this and then like going through it with Ed, like we were like, wow, this is just insane. So let's go back in time a bit. Before you came to Malaysia, you were...
Where were you in the Heineken family doing STRONGBOW?
I was in Amsterdam. I was a global marketing director for Cider, which was a militant unit put together comprising of 15 people essentially. And we were really like our own business unit put in charge to roll out Cider to as many countries around the world as possible, which was great because you really had to put together a strategy, the entry strategy, portfolio, the assets, and then roll out to different markets and help them. This was probably the funnest job that I had because it was filled with absolutely stunning people, really great talent. And yeah, the work was just incredible.
So let's talk about the Nature Remix, right?
Yeah.
STRONGBOW's campaign.
Yeah. This brings me to the third principle, which is really when you're, and I learned this, again, this is learned from Cloud Factory Agency, which had this principle of bringing to table people that you wouldn't really think about, and that could really elevate the game significantly. Yeah. So every time, again, and I've been using that principle ever since, like really when putting together the team that works on a campaign or any sort of new concept or positioning or idea, then we're really trying to put together people from all sorts of different parts of the world and industries to really elevate the game. And then the second most important part actually is if you do have that talent, let them do it for fuck's sake.
Yeah,
right.
Okay.
This is super important because sometimes then you have all this amazing talent and you don't let them do it because you think you know better.
Yeah. Now I can speak to this from experience because I am a comedian by trade. So many times I've been hired because they want a funny person, but then they give me the script and they say, don't deviate from the script. So what am I here for? Like you just hired me as a funny face? I don't know. So I really like this point. So like bring people to the table that can elevate the game and let them do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we had, and then again, we did, there was like a trilogy that we did, one amazing piece of work in South Africa, one in Mexico, and one in New York City. And for each of these, we had you saying you somehow have a knack. But again, like if you want, you send it out, universe will send it back. Yeah. And that's the journey you're taking. And so we were having people just like, someone who's doing art direction for Rijksmuseum. So actually you have a set designer for Rijksmuseum, which is an amazing guy. And now he's figuring out how to put things together for the Cider shoot. Then we had, for some of the work, because it was bringing nature back to the city, we had Monsieur Plante, which is a French guy who basically creates all sorts of concussion and weird
Monsieur
sculptures.
Plante and like Mary Mattingly.
Yeah, and Mary Mattingly, she was an activist in New York who was fighting for bringing also more nature. And she found this huge barge upstate New York City, which we connected with and said, okay, what if we would actually make it just an orchard and use it as an orchard floating around New York City and use it also for sampling, and then of course create a piece of movie bodies. And all these guys, they came in and we had a basic idea, we had a sketch, and then everybody said, okay, fine, this is how I see this is how I see that. We had amazing director Frederick Bond, who's a really talented guy. And then at some point, we was like, Hoyte van Hoytema.
Yeah, that's the one I'm waiting for.
This guy, like, okay, we do Interstellar, we're Dunkirk. Yeah, by the way, I'm going to go to Mexico City shoot with you guys. This guy's insane. Like, he doesn't even, looking at the light like this. Yeah. Based on that, he's just choosing the filter for the lens. Just like, I feel this is the right thing. Yeah. So, and on that one, even the male from LA was working for post-production. Yeah. So, the post-production was like an GDP over a small country. Yeah.
But all this is an execution stage. Right? Before you go there, you have to somehow associate STRONGBOW with natural rejuvenation, right?
Yeah.
How did you get there? Because what you explained is the idea has already been approved. Then we got to find all these weirdos. But surely you need weirdos to come up with the idea first.
So STRONGBOW essentially, we position it as a Heineken of cider. right? So urban proposition for younger people needs to look cool, needs to be playing in the city. And then the logic is simple. You come from the orchard, you're in the city, so Nature's Remix.
So that was just the
solution.
original idea.
That was the
global platform because I actually worked on STRONGBOW for Malaysia, and that was the brief, and that was the global brief that came to us.
to bring the orchard to the city.
Yeah, and-
That's
and
the whole idea.
The
I was in
Nature
BBDO
Remix,
then.
yeah.
I was in BBDO, and we did that. We did that. So when we saw this, we're like, whoa!
Yeah. Oh, by the way,
Big!
yeah. For our audience, we are definitely going to link all this on the Instagram.
On the Instagram, is it?
On the Instagram and on the TikTok.
So it was already set already lah. Just bring the orchard
No,
to
I
the
think
city.
he was.
we came up with a
He's the militant team that Heineken Global put
yeah.
together to bring that cider brand to life.
So basically, the way it works is, again, Heineken bought Scottish and Newcastle many years ago. Part of this in the UK was a great cider legacy, but it was somehow left behind. And then at some point, when you're doing the portfolio basically assessment around the world, you realize that actually there's a bunch of people who start deviating from beer because it doesn't have the right image. It's too bitter because people are growing up with a more sweeter tooth and palate. So we by the way have cider somewhere lying down here, but it's mainly catering to UK and sort of the UK colonies, which it's a bit more straightforward cider. So a little bit too fermented, a little bit too sour maybe. So what if we try and make it a proposition for the global world? So making it sweeter, making it a little bit more accessible, make it a little bit more fun. And from that one, we created a portfolio of 5 different brands. STRONGBOW was one of them. STRONGBOW was the lead one, but then we also have 4 other ones. And for each of them, you have to create positioning, packaging, whole innovation pipeline, whole communication assets, and then and also the logic of how they should enter the market and which stage. And then you start coming to the markets where it makes sense.
Okay, I have like a question which I don't know if I'm allowed to ask, but like I'm just so drawn to that Nature Remix campaign. Like how long did the shooting or like the process of like having that idea and working things out, because you're working with people from all around the world.
From a globe, I think the more clear question is from a global perspective, because we get local briefs.
Yeah.
Right? So from a global perspective, how do you put a big Nature Remix together and getting the world on board?
Yeah, what's the process
what
like?
you're saying?
Yeah.
So there are 2 parts of it. One is you actually, to create that positioning itself, is you need to put the right people together. You come up with a concept. You first start convincing the people in the global team.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of, there's a certain hierarchy that you need to run through. Once you have that, you need to pick the right markets. So you want markets that are big. You want markets that are also having people that want to do interesting things. And this is quite easy to pinpoint based on who's the GM, who's the marketing director. And link to these people, and you pick, let's say, 5, 6 markets to start with. Because you know that once these guys are on board, they will definitely show it, they will definitely brag about it, and everybody else will follow. So it's that sort of regular
Flow,
path and flow
yeah.
within a big organization where you have to find the right channel, to sort of implement it in.
Okay. Because what I really like is that for this one you work with Cloud Factory, right? And like I read some, because I was so drawn to this, I was just looking this up nonstop. And there was this philosophy which was not storytelling but story doing.
Yes, indeed.
Because it's not tell, do.
Yeah. So, and this is again all great principles that I learned from these guys. Is indeed we started actually before you even make a movie out of it. What's the authentic story that you can tell and base it on, and then move ahead of from that. And all of the 3 examples that I share with you guys, which is basically the South African one, the Mexican one, and then and the New York one, are essentially built with the local people who are already doing something to bring nature back into the city.
Yep.
So that sort of swarm of authentic people was the base of how we can, again, authentically actually link to them.
Doing it.
They were doing it. We helped them. They figure out how to elevate the things that they were doing, how to bring money to them. Yeah. And then from then, we just documented it. So that indeed is a great philosophy that I also learned from Cloud Factory. Yeah, that's
It's so authentic. Like you believe it because they are really doing it. You're not just doing it just to get press and like that's it. Because when it comes to like nature stuff, it's very easy to go down like a greenwashing, like just like something that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But this was so nice. Like at first I was like, who is Mr. Plant and who is Mary? And then when I start to learn more, I'm like, this is so good. Because the normal thing to do, which most clients will say, is get someone famous.
It's good that you work with the local market also to get local insights.
Absolutely.
And for them to say, hey, this work, you better work with these guys because these guys make more sense or resonate with the wider audience.
Okay, maybe we can talk a bit about Rolik because it falls under your fourth point, which is every brief is a chance to do great work, right?
Yes. Rolik is the fastest growing e-retailer. There's one founder who's looking after it very much. His wish was, I would love to have one nice commercial done for essentially Rolik as well. I joined literally, I think I actually brought COVID to Czech Republic, by the way, I'm sorry. Because I was flying back and forth between Amsterdam and Prague. Half the plane was filled with coughing people. And then I literally start in January like, but anyway, so it was e-retailer. The only one essentially who was of course delivering, the groceries home. So the demand went through the roof. We're not able to fulfill all the demands. I reorganized the marketing team to they were working as two internal agencies. There was team A, team B. Everyone has their project manager, social media manager, DTP manager, video manager, and we were running on the different teams because this is so fast. You have, let's say, 40, 50,000 people constantly, typing, ordering stuff. And they want to know that your cars are well sanitized, that you're supporting, the elders, that you're doing this and that. So we went through that period as winners because, we did so much communication and so much interaction with all the customers that were joining. People really felt like, okay, this is the brand that really fights for us in that sense. And I did, we did really, like, it was overnight. It was just overnight and things, launching new products, services and communication pieces. I had my grandparents acting in it as well because everybody's just like, hey, mom, just can you please take a photo or show a video of granddad saying, please help us or whatever. And then we created like a whole video about supporting senior citizens. And it was really flying, but it was a really tough period of time. And in between, in the evening, I was tasked to, why don't we just build create an epic commercial? We have nothing better to do. So I asked for a few guys. I said, I don't want to work in an agency. But we don't have, this place has no money, no patience to work for agencies. So I reached out to guys who are running Contagious in Prague. So I would love to speak with freelance creative directors. They brought in 3 ones. One of them was this weirdo. Another one was looking like, who's this guy? And then he started to talk. I was like, there's something in there. I think I like him. Within 2 weeks, we had final script. We sold it to the founder. He loved it. Within the next 4 weeks, we were on air. Wow. It was so fast. It was insane. Yeah. And again, you might say these things are luck, but because we were literally, because it was like the second month, I think, or third month of pandemic, this was the first time people were again allowed to shoot, to bring the crew together. So all the talent was available, all the amazing, and we have really, really great talent in Czech Republic because we have the studios where, Hollywood guys are coming and shoot whatever. So we had the best talent. We have the amazing director. We had great set designers. We had great everything.
And they're all hungry to do good work.
And they're all hungry to do work because they were chilling at home for 3 months. And I was like, mwah! And then the script was so good. This brings me maybe to the last, also to the last point.
Nipples.
No, the nipples we'll save for later. But how to create a great brief. Put it back. This was just, why don't we have an epic commercial? But the idea was we're an e-retailer. So the example given was the $1 shave club, whatever. When you have the guy and we have to do this and that, and then I'm, running on a forklift and whatnot, I don't know. And you're like, not really.
Yep.
So how can we turn that into something that will resonate with people? And that's where, so there was one element, the consumers of Rolik. These guys are really the well-to-do people, mainly based in Prague. They really don't like to be told. They think for themselves. They're quite successful people, spending quite a lot of money to have their groceries delivered. Then you have pandemic, so the cultural part where you have all the authorities telling you cannot do this, you cannot do that, la la la. So these people are like, whoa, okay, one more minute and I'm going to explode. And then you have the founder and the founder story, which essentially this guy, ever since he was young, he was trying to figure out how to sell food in an innovative way. And the whole Rohlik philosophy is based on making people's lives better by bringing them better food.
Yeah.
So that story of that individual had to be told because that's what it is about. So we brought it together and we created a beautiful script that really hit the spot culturally and of course story-wise, but mainly culturally because you have at the beginning, you have the drummers coming in who are representing the authorities that are telling you what to do. And you have the herd of people that's representing most of the other non-Rohlik consumers. And then you have the story of the young boy who's basically
trying to smile and trying to be happy.
Who's trying to smile. He's really trying, but he knows, there's got to be a way. And then he's discovering this great, forbidden hidden farm where the guy gives him the most amazing food. He brings him back and he even breaks, the sort of this hard face of those drummers.
Yeah.
And it's such a powerful statement. And also really such an emotional copy that we released it and within 24 hours, it was just everywhere. It was like, wow, this is so good. This is so good. And no matter whether it was professionals, people from, consumers themselves, all the, everybody essentially was congratulating. Like, this is really good. This is finally, after 3 months, this is something nice.
Yeah.
So, if you can do that, again, by actually figuring out how to change the brief so that there's something epic coming out of this.
Yeah.
Then something
essentially the brief is a brief, but it's an opportunity to solve maybe a business problem, right?
Yeah.
Or something that you can help the brand. I think the mistake that when I started in the agency as well, I assume that if the brief is such, I'm not allowed to question the brief. But then eventually I learned that's not the right way to do. It's supposed to be a partnership.
Yeah.
Correct.
I think it's interesting you surround yourself with all these weirdos and get a lot of good ideas. But it's one thing to want to work with weirdos and let them have their opinions. It's another thing to manage the process. Because everybody will have different inputs and all that. And somebody's got to manage it to make sure we work towards a cohesive vision.
I think
is that so?
Well, that is also based on your ego, right? If the
don't
egos
know.
are not there and the goal is clear to do something amazing.
Yeah, we all got to be on the same page.
Yeah. I think there's two things. I mean, there's a budget. I'm really bad with money. Jarrod would know.
I love for the viewers on that. I love working with you. Say, just do it.
Just do it.
Everybody will find the money.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody has to pay for it later. But so there's it needs to be on there at some point. It needs to actually be usable
Has a
on the
tangible
platforms.
deadline at some point.
And and it needs to be within a certain budget. So that usually is a strength of someone else, and that someone needs to look after that, and that's why you have team of people. But by actually having the professionals around the table, it's way easier and faster because everybody knows what they're doing. So, and again, usually people at that level, the egos are zero.
Yeah.
So you basically say, hey, this is what it is. I feel this is a good idea. If you think it's shit, fine. Then, let's try something different.
Yeah, give and take as long as we work towards a common goal.
I think everybody's on the same frequency at that point, we're all heading towards the same destination.
Yeah.
So, okay, before we get to your last points, which Ed has mentioned, that there will be nipples involved. Don't worry, it will all be made clear. I have a question, maybe a bit off tangent. You have this love for working with weirdos, right? Is there a Jiri process for sussing out weirdos? Some people might go let's go for dinner, or
I mean, a weirdo meter.
Yeah, how do you find
It's your weirdo sense tingling.
Yes. What's the Jiri way to gauge?
I really think this one is just kind of walking around until you find one. I think this really works with whether you call it manifestation, whether you call it, believing in higher power, or the chi. To attract those people, you will need to make a decision. Okay, I need something cool. Yeah. And if you're not, political struggle with it. It happened to me that I was working, or I joined somewhere, and there were agencies where I just couldn't make that happen. I just didn't feel the flow. And I couldn't. Yeah. And then I said, okay, fine, this is not what I need. And therefore I started to look around. And I basically just started to poke. And then it's really just about, you just talk about certain element with someone and you see how they react. And it's like, there's something actually I feel like maybe good. And just by being open to it and sending it out that you need it, at some point you will meet someone.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing. It's like setting it out or putting it out there in the universe. That
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
I want to meet these people.
You attract what you think about.
Because if you just stay within your cubicle, they're not going to show up.
Yeah.
Weirdos will walk
absolutely.
past
I mean,
your
sometimes the
cubicle.
weirdos break into your house and take things away, like,
But that's rare.
yeah.
That's the lesson I take.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now let's go on to your last point.
Wait, before the last point, I just
yes.
want to. Point 0, creativity is a decision. Point 1, know thyself. Point 2, choose a partner in crime that you love working with. Point 3, find the right weirdos to bring to the table. Point 4 is every brief is an opportunity. Let's move to point 5.
Okay, everybody take off your shirts.
No, please don't.
I don't want to see it.
wrong podcast.
No, so look, it's more about having the strength to push through.
Yeah.
So the last point that I call, if nipples get hard, find the strength to push through. Because if you are, and again, I'm going to give a couple of examples, but assess the concepts based on 2 things. 1, does it move me? B, does it have to, is it saying what it should say? And it doesn't have to be whether the wording was right, whether I had something else in my mind, that's a different story. But really, as long as I'm touched somehow and it moves me, and as long as, of course, it answers to the brief, then we're good. Then we just keep on rolling. So there were a couple of things. One of them was for GAMBRINUS, which is so before I joined Heineken, I was in charge of the biggest beer brand in Czech Republic, which is GAMBRINUS. Well, back in the days, it used to be 25% of the market, a huge brand, sponsor of national football teams, sponsor of the first leagues, and many other things, of course, music. So actually, you were producing insane amount of campaigns per year, really a lot of fun. What happened was, there was a lot of the image of football was declining for several years, and there were a lot of issues with corruption. As a main sponsor, we're having a discussion. Okay, this is not going well. Really, the image is dragging us down as well. We had a couple of the talks with the union, and then at some point something really bad happened, and we were thinking, okay, this is really the breaking point. Right? And then you had two choices. One of them was to say, okay, fine, we're leaving, no longer taking this. The other thing was, we're actually going to stand up for what we believe. And we came up with a campaign that was called We Believe in Football. We even, actually, it was inspired by, I think someone else did something similar somewhere in the UK. One of the bars, like Snickers or somewhere.
What was the brand associated with football at that point?
GAMBRINUS. It's the biggest beer brand. Communication of, and changing of also of the logo, of We Believe and everything. But the idea was, we actually really believe that what drives football is the passion of people who play it, who watch it, and that's what unites us together, and that's what will help us go through this.
Yeah.
And we were working with Low GGK back then in Prague, or Low. They had also a couple of amazing people, so a couple of amazing weirdos from South Africa and somewhere. And they brought in the script. And I remember I was there with my marketing manager, and there were just 2 guys. So yeah, also that's why, again, I love to work directly with, all I need is a strategic planner, creative director. So this was a presentation. And then, they brought in old school. One of the guy was older, the other one younger, but old school presentation. No computers, no fucking books, nothing. They had just a couple of A4s with photos. And they started to go. Photo number 1. Photo number 2. And then they started to recite the voiceover. And as they were reciting, we were just standing up. Fuck, so good. And then, by the time they were finished, everybody was just going back and forth, like, this is it, man, we have to do this. This is amazing. Yeah. This is where the work actually starts.
Yeah.
Because at that point, you realize you have to do it fast, because you don't want anyone else do it, and you don't want to get it compromised.
You want to capture the lightning.
Once you have that amazing
feeling.
Script and feeling, then all the other funny stuff starts to happen. You have the procurement. Hey, bro, I have a director who's going to do it for half the price. Hey, what if we shoot it, over there on that camera? Or, what if we actually make a poster? Are we also good? So you really have to push through. Yeah. So once you have that amazing feeling, that's the decisive factor, and then you have to push for it. And I had that. There's one thing that always, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Whiplash. I really love that movie. Anyone who's trained ever for anything, whether it's, that in that case, it's a drummer trained for in my case,
very
ice hockey,
intense.
boxing, or whatever.
Yeah.
There's always that duality between the one who's being coached and the coach themselves. And in that end scene, it's that I think really that summarizes it so well. You have the guys to kill each other because they hate each other.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're just now creating something amazing, and that look in their eyes is a psychopath. It's like, fuck, we're doing it. And that's if you have that.
Yeah.
At that point of a time. That is the moment where you have to push.
Yeah, that's the weirdo Venn diagram meeting. Right? Yeah. So that's the point, right? If your nipples get hard, play all the cards to make it happen.
Yeah, I like that the commercial had this epic feel. A big stadium, it was big budget. You know. Yeah,
It was actually, again, it
is
has
backed up.
epic feeling, but it was similar to the Chinese New Year commercial for Tiger. It was, the way it was done was smart. I mean, the lighting, the atmosphere, the people you bring together, the metaphors that you're bringing up. It's not, straightforward,
I mean, for me, it says we believe in football, yes.
Yeah.
But we went all the way. When I say I believe in it, I put my money in it, and here's how it looks like. So to me, I felt that on a different level. You're not just saying it; you're demonstrating it in that sense.
Yeah, and we will share all this like on our socials as well. I have an extra question because you're from the client side. How important are awards to you? Because this is something I learned agencies are obsessed with. Right? To you, Jiri, what's your take on this?
I believe that my superpower is finding the right people and giving them space to grow. So really removing all the fears from their talent and making sure they can create something amazing. And that for me is the ultimate thing. So I understand for the recognition that the creators are looking for in the awards, but for me personally, it's not important. For me, it's really the chemistry of people and the joy that you have creating that stuff. So it's for me, it's while it's happening and then moment just after it's being released and everybody is super happy about it. But that moment of when you see something amazing being born is the ultimate reward. So for me, nice, of course.
Nice to have, but it's
Nice
not a
to
measure
have,
of.
but it's not the measure. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, it's, all you talk about creativity and all that, and to you, it's gut feel, I didn't hear you mention the word data once at all. That's like, we need to have data to back this up. We need to have consumer
I guess
sentiments.
what he's saying is most clients today are talking about that.
Data research focus
what would your
groups.
point?
No. I mean, look, that's all valid. But for me, that's coming, again, you can use, somewhere I read this thing that we are using research either as a lamp that you're actually like a drunk person pushing against it so that you don't fall, or you're using it as a lamp to see what's possible. So for me, all the data, all the research that I'm always investing in comes before the concepts are actually written, like even the positioning concept. Then you actually understand what the insights are. You might create something that's relevant, that's differentiating, but it really comes at the beginning of that funnel.
Yeah.
I rarely test anything afterwards unless I really, really have to because someone's asked to do it. Because that one already is a bit too late.
Yep.
Yeah, you've built the case.
Exactly, you build the case. So for me, the investment into yes, of course, it's super important. I mean, don't get me wrong. To understand your consumers as much as possible, to have an idea about the category itself or the cultural discourse, all in competition, all of this, as much as you can have, great. But it sort of starts beyond even the point zero, because that's the base of our work. As a marketing guys, you have to understand your business. Huh? So from that one, that's valid.
Yeah.
If you are putting all your money as validating at the end, then I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
But I like that analogy. You see data as opposed to lean on or as a lamp to like what's around you.
It's nice. Yeah. Jarrod, you want to ask the dinner question?
Dinner is your question, bro. I think I'll ask my question.
Okay.
Do I get a question?
You can.
I haven't thought of it.
Okay, so just a fun question. If you could have dinner with anyone, could be from the industry, not from the industry, alive or dead, who would it be with and why?
Dude, I'm happy to just have dinner with my girlfriend now. But
Oh, okay.
In the Jiri spectrum of things, like, you know.
Yeah.
I get it. No, look, I think yesterday, we were just talking before we started here. I read an article about I think his name is Riley. He's a guy who was CMO of Crux, and now he started as a president. Well, now, like 3 years ago, he started as a president for Stanley's. And he did this amazing turnaround. And I was just reading the article. I was like, dude, like, this guy looks actually really interesting. And he makes it sound so simple in that sense. So, yeah, he looks like a nice guy to me. So I would love to have a chat for sure.
My question, which I ask everyone.
Biggest pet peeve.
From the client side or even from a client looking at the agency, what's your biggest pet peeve?
I think for me it's the process. I'm not really a process guy. So for me, using the agency as a supplier and sending in a brief, then 2 weeks, nothing, then seeing them for 1 hour and then sending them off again, being pissed off because they didn't come up with something that you changed your mind about in the last 2 weeks. That kind of process, the transactional feeling of it, that really is something I cannot stand. So hence the second principle, like just please choose someone you love working with and set it up in a way that, okay, if the money is the problem, clear the money up front. If, you know, there is a process and it's a big agency and big client, great, but then figure out how the teams can work together so that they can exchange information, they can, you know, communicate via WhatsApp, they can share inspiration, whatever that is. But that to me, again, prevents great work from happening, but also just burns so much energy. So yeah, I think that for me is the most important one.
You see, very important to have a client
Who's on board?
Yeah.
Who's on board and wants to work together?
Yeah.
On the same
Yeah,
page.
it's like a two-way communication. It's a collaboration.
I think all clients want to work together, but what I like is clients who want great work, who would die for great work, who would push for great work.
I agree. Like, I think clients at the foundation wants to work together, but whether they are willing to actually put in the work or like it's
To make great work happen.
Yeah, because we understand like sometimes we are all answerable to different people, and sometimes that becomes a factor. But when someone like you, Jiri, is so inspiring because if you believe in the idea or the great work, together we can make it happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this has been extremely inspiring to me. Hopefully this is inspiring to all of you who are listening. Let's do a summary of like this is Jiri Rakosnik. Rakosnik. Jiri Rakosnik.
I cannot pronounce his last name, so I just
Jiri is the first time.
I'm gonna try
Actually,
again.
the official one is Jiri Rakosnik, but nobody
Okay,
can say that. So
Rakosnik.
just skip it.
This is Jiri's principle that he learned on how to create great work. Okay, number 0, creativity is a decision. Number 1, know thyself. Number 2, choose a partner in crime that you love working with. Number 3, bring to the table people that can significantly elevate the game and then let them do it for fuck's sake. And number 4, every brief is a chance for great work. And number 5, if the nipples get hard, play all the cards to make it happen. Yeah?
I love this 5
5 plus 1 because it's a 0.
1. Oh yeah, 5 plus 1, yeah.
You live this, like you
Yeah.
believe in this, and also just some fun fact tidbit for our listeners. You are the first guest who's made an actual document on like the principles you believe in, why, and send it to us. You did your
Research.
and so we want to say thank you so much.
Yeah.
It means a lot.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Thank you for making the time.
Your jet is ready. It's going to depart, and we'll see you in Penang.
Don't skip the ad.
Okay, so that was Jiri Rakosnik. I really like him. I'm rooting for him wherever he is. I hope he does not quit being a client. I hope you enjoyed the chat as much as I did. Okay, so what's next on Don't Skip the Ad? We've got someone really special. I can't wait to add that episode again. I need to re-edit everything. So bear with us while we put the episode out. Look out for sneak peeks on our Instagram. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up. And this has been another episode of
Don't skip the ad.